So one of the most iconic vessels within the Navy of the Republic during the Clone Wars was the Venator-Class Star Destroyer. It formed the backbone of nearly every Republic fleet and was engaged in nearly every major battle. So I figured today we'll take a look at why it was such a good fit for the Republic. I'm Colin, and this is Sci-Fi Deep Dive. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, to head down below and hit that subscribe button. So we've talked about the Venator quite a bit on this channel, but today I want to specifically focus on why it was such a perfect fit for the Republic, and why it might be one of the best warships within Star Wars. Let's start with what the Venator was. Well, it was titled a Star Destroyer, or sometimes a cruiser. In reality, it was a carrier battleship hybrid with a heavy slant towards aircraft carrier. The Venator's most potent weapon system was its massive hangar bays filled with a wide variety of Republic starfighters. Everything from Y-Wing bombers to V-19 Torrents to ARC-170 starfighters, which could easily overwhelm any opponent. This allowed the Venator to deploy massive fleets of whatever they really needed, be it bombers or interceptors. This, right off the bat, makes the Venator remarkably versatile, being able to sort of counter any opposition with appropriate fleets of small attack craft. But it is a carrier battleship hybrid, so there is a battleship half. That battleship half takes the form of 8 heavy dual turbo lasers mounted to the ventral hull of the vessel, along with a wide assortment of different point defense cannons scattered across the ship's hull. This allowed it to actually be relatively good at screening against starfighters, not necessarily needing a lighter escort to do that. Hence, by the way, why the Republic didn't deploy a wide variety of smaller escort vessels like the later Empire would. So that's what the Venator is, but why is it so perfect for the Republic? Well, let's start by looking at the Republic's enemy during the Clone Wars, the Confederacy of Independent Systems, the Separatists. What were they fielding? Well, if you look at the ships that the Separatists were using, they would use a lot of swarm tactics, large numbers of smaller fighter craft designed to overwhelm enemy vessels. Now this works great against sort of well-rounded ships, but against something like a Venator, which almost feels like it's custom built to counter that strategy, things don't always turn out so great for the Separatists. While they may field 100 to 200 vulture droids from a single vessel, that Venator has got more than enough point defense and an effective interceptor squadron to deal with them. So the Venator-Class Star Destroyer was more than capable of dispatching large flights of droid starfighters. But what about when it comes to engaging enemy capital ships? Well, the Venator would bring 2 pretty capable weapons to that fight. First off, their array of turbo lasers, which, while they may not be as numerous as those on board something like an Imperial-Class Star Destroyer, they are still capable, and they can easily carry out broadside attacks against enemy vessels. But on top of those turbo lasers, they also field a flight of bombers, which would be very effective at taking out enemy capital ships. They would be a great tool, especially in combination with fighter escorts and those turbo lasers. That puts the Venator in the perfect spot to sort of be able to counter something like a Munificent-class star frigate, for example. But the Venator does have some downsides. Without its fighter complement, for example, it's basically useless in combat. While it can engage enemy ships directly, like I mentioned with those turbo lasers, or even with its point defense cannons, they would easily be overwhelmed by most other vessels if the Venator had not deployed its fighters. But on top of their over-reliance on their fighter complement, the Venator also lacked in fields like shielding and armor. While the Venator did have armor and did have shielding, they weren't quite as capable as those of other vessels. Now those did pay off in speed and maneuverability in sublight combat, but not quite enough to really make the vulnerability worth it in the long run. Still, the Venator proved itself to be a very capable vessel and a perfect fit for the Republic during the Clone Wars. In fact, it seems like the only reason it was really ushered out of service at the end of the Clone Wars was not really because of any actual tactical deficiency, but because of the reputation it had built as a Republic vessel. The Venator had become this icon of the Galactic Republic, and when the Empire rose to power and wanted to distance themselves from that old government, removing that vessel was a no-brainer. If you'd like to learn about what happened to the Republic Navy following the end of the Clone Wars, I'll leave a link up here to my video on that. And I want you to let me know down in the comments whether you agree with me that the Venator was perfect for the Republic during the Clone Wars, or do you think they would have been better off using a different vessel from sort of that lineage? Do you think an Imperial-Class Star Destroyer would have been a better fit, for example? And if you have anything you'd like to see me cover in Star Wars, leave it down below in the comments. Last but not least, if you enjoyed this video, head down below, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. So for Sci-Fi Deep Dive, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.